28 years after the outbreak, the infected aren't the biggest threat. Spike has just been found by the Jimmies, a cult of psychopaths wearing bright colors while the world bleeds out. Now, the real nightmare is about to begin. We enter Crystal's camp. Spike is taken to an abandoned and rotten swimming pool, where a sick mob roars from the edges, thirsty for blood. For these psychopaths, life is worthless without a show. Standing before Spike is Jimmy Shite, a man who's been through this before and knows no mercy. Crystal gives the signal, and the butchery begins. There's no technique here, it's pure survival instinct. Spike attacks quickly, but Shite dodges and throws him against the concrete walls, humiliating him in front of the crowd. But amid the pain, Spike finds a moment of clarity. He pulls out a hidden blade and, in one swift motion, stabs Shite in the leg. Shite's body hits the ground heavily as the stagnant water turns deep red. One of the Jimmies steps over the blood, rips the wig off the dead man, and tosses it at Spike. Spike has won his life, but he has lost his soul. In a silent forest, we see a man searching for food. Suddenly, the alpha of the infected appears before him and, in a fit of rage, tears off his head. But watch what Dr. Ian Kelson does. While transporting a woman's body, he notices the alpha stalking him. Instead of fleeing, he uses his morphine gun to subdue him, instantly christening him Samson for his immense strength. After this encounter, we see the saddest side of the doctor. In the gloom of his basement, surrounded by candles and photos of his lost family, he undresses and dances alone, taking refuge in nostalgia. But Kelson doesn't give up on his patient. He returns to the forest and, in a suicidal act of faith, injects the alpha and takes him to the Bone Temple, then falls asleep next to him to prove that he is not a threat. The move works. When he awakens, he is still alive, and Samson begins bringing him offerings. The segment ends with an image that will leave you cold. Kelson and Samson share the silence, letting themselves be soaked by the rain while Samson discovers, for the first time in years, what it feels like to be at peace and manages to pronounce the word, moon. Back with the Jimmies, who continue their path of destruction, they arrive at a small farm where a group of survivors is trying to lead a normal life. The Jimmies don't attack immediately, they walk in like they own the place. They sit at the table, demand food, and Crystal starts to ramble. He starts talking about the Teletubbies, claiming they are superior beings because they have televisions inside them, a divine sign. He forces the women of the farm and his own followers to dance and sing nursery rhymes while he watches them with maniacal eyes. It's a scene of pure psychological horror. But the worst is yet to come, the ritual of charity. For the Jimmies, doing charity means skinning prisoners alive to release them from their shirts. Spike sees them start branding the farmers and goes outside to vomit. Outside the farm, Spike runs into Jimmy Inc., a girl who stands out in her red clothing and a face full of scars, both physical and mental. Meanwhile, inside the barn, the butchery continues. Jimmy Crystal sets his eyes on Tom. He tells him he needs strong fingers for his crown and forces him into a fight to the death. If he wins, he becomes a Jimmy. If he loses or refuses, he'll be stripped of his skin. Tom, cornered, accepts the fight against Jimmy Ma. The combat is a total humiliation. Tom is weak and his blows do nothing. Jimmy Ma stabs him mercilessly, and just as he is about to finish him off, he stops to ask Crystal for permission to humiliate him even more. That's when the unexpected happens. A pregnant girl, who had been watching everything with barely contained rage, emerges from the shadows and throws a hook directly at Jimmy Ma's head. Chaos erupts. The Jimmies quickly attack her. At that moment, Tom drags himself to a propane tank. With his last breath, he opens the valve and flicks a lighter. The fire is devastating. Just then, one of the Jimmies shoots an arrow at Tom, ending his life. The barn is reduced to ashes, marking the end of the massacre and leaving Jimmy Crystal boiling with rage. The remains of the Jimmies finally arrive at the Temple of Bones. Upon seeing Dr. Kelson and his mountain of skulls, Crystal believes he is standing before the devil himself, his father. Kelson brings him back to Earth with a bitter truth: there are no demons here, only human science gone horribly wrong. Crystal, cornered by the fear of losing control over his followers, threatens the doctor. Either he pretends to be Old Nick to keep the lie alive, or he dies right there. While Crystal prepares his divine show, the doctor plays his last card with Samson. Kelson believes the infection is a wound in the mind, a psychosis that can be treated, and gives him experimental tablets. Meanwhile, betrayal is brewing. Spike tries to escape but is cornered by a Crystal fanatic seeking to settle old scores. This is where Kelly proves her true loyalty, taking out the aggressor and sealing a blood pact with Spike. In this rotting world, they only have each other. The night of judgment arrives. The Doctor, using drugs and music to manipulate the cult, presents himself as the Dark Lord.
That's what I saw.
He issues a lethal order. The followers must sacrifice their leader, Crystal, to prove their faith. But Crystal is no fool. He sees through the charade and, in a fit of rage, stabs the Doctor in front of everyone. And then, chaos erupts, it's utter carnage. Meanwhile, Spike takes advantage of the situation and stabs Crystal, putting an end to his reign of lies. The Doctor dies witnessing his final victory. Samson is no longer a beast. The experiment worked, and the infected man regains his humanity, carrying away his only friend's body with a level of respect that no longer exists among the living. Crystal spends his final days crucified by his own lies before being finished off by Samson. The final scene pulls us away from the fire and madness to an isolated cabin in the mountains. There we see Jim, the man who started it all 28 years ago. He is not alone, he is with his daughter, teaching her the most important lesson of all: history always repeats itself if you don't know it. Suddenly, Spike and Kelly appear on the horizon, exhausted and pursued by a massive horde of infected. Jim gets up with a determination that tells us that the real fight has only just begun. The circle has closed, and the future of humanity depends on this unexpected encounter. If you've made it this far, don't forget to hit like and subscribe.